All right, let's go across to DD India's Akshay Dongre. He joins us live from the newsroom. Hi Akshay, after a lull for a few days, the conflict has in fact flared up once again. Iran first targeted US military bases in the region in Jordan, following which the United States also carried out strikes inside Iran, retaliatory strikes. Get us the latest on this renewed escalation. Does this, in fact, in hopes of negotiations, at least for now?
Well, there was a hope as far as the ceasefire announcement is concerned that this entire conflict that has been going on for decades will find some sort of breakthrough and there will be lasting peace in West Asia. However, all that has been broken once again with the kind of strikes that we are seeing with US launching these powerful strikes and one of the strike hitting a housing facility where a third child has been rescued now by the Iranian authorities. So the collateral damage once again being borne by the civilians and the citizens in the region, with Iran also earlier launching strikes against the US targets in the region, along with the Israeli angle that has always been there, that wanted the hostilities to resume, because once the ceasefire was announced, Abhishek, we saw that the Israeli leadership was miffed with it. It did not want it to happen. Its objectives were not fulfilled. It still perceived Iran as a major threat, and there was always a threat that Israeli authorities, Israeli government is going to push the US to once again renew the hostilities when it comes to or seek some way their own objectives in this conflict can be fulfilled. And it seems that the things are going Israeli way once again after a thaw between the relations between the top leadership of Israel and the US over the ceasefire. So the situation is very, very depressing as far as the region is concerned. The situation can soon get out of hand with the oil prices once again going up in a massive manner. There have been attempts rather to ensure a steady supply of oil, but if the things continue in this trajectory as they are going right now, there is very little hope that the oil prices, the countries that are producing oil in the region will be able to maintain the sort of export as far as the routes are concerned. So there are three corridors that are quite important for the supply of oil, fossil fuels in the region. That is one, the Strait of Hormuz. Then there is an Omani corridor. Then Bab el-Mandab is also there. But all of these three can come under fire, and the results can be much more devastating than the initial conflict, where only Strait of Hormuz was impacted, and the Omani corridor naturally, because the entire strait was shut down by the IRGC. So it remains to be seen, but the traffic going through the Strait of Hormuz has steadily gone down once again, and this can clearly result in a rebound of the oil prices in the global oil market.
Yes, big impact on global trade and energy security. But Akshay, Iran in fact has rejected the proposed truce and continues to rule out talks with the United States. Israel, Hezbollah, we just discussed that situation also. I mean, how do you see the conflict evolving in the coming days?
Well, there are two ways to go about it. Either the US, that is the major warring faction in this conflict, they make a peace deal or make renewed sincere efforts to make peace with Iran. So see, you have to understand, Iran as compared to the US is a much smaller power. It is not a superpower. It is a regional power, that too with its defenses, radar sites being hammered consistently by the US forces. All they have are rockets and probably Hezbollah and Houthi groups operating from different regions targeting the oil tanker. That is the only leverage that they have. So the position of advantage has always been there with the US, and if the negotiations have to be cordial and they have to be on the same level, the US will also have to shed some of the difficult demands that it has been raising with Iran. There has to be a win-win situation for both, for their own domestic audiences to be persuaded that the ceasefire can be done, and as far as the regime change or a total government change option is concerned, that is just not possible through an external external aggressor, because once an external enemy appears, the unity among the country and the countrymen, it strengthens, and that is something that we have seen in Iran. Earlier there were protests, but then later, more or less, the topic of protest, the topic of other kind of discontent among the public, that was sidelined, and the national security came first. So you cannot hope for a regime change unless there is a war of attrition that goes on for several decades. So it is not going to be in benefit of anybody, especially the global south that relies heavily on the oil that is coming from the region.
No breakthrough, no truce, at least for now. We'll leave it at that. Thank you for your inputs, Akshay.